go ahead and get started. Jordan Spieth, thanks for joining us for a few minutes prior to the start of the 2021 AT&T Pebble Beach Pro-Am. A tournament, obviously, it's near and dear to you for many reasons. You've had 8 previous starts here. You went in 2017, and half of your starts here have resulted in top 10 finishes, including last year, 9th place. So with all that said, just a few comments on being back here this week.
Yeah, it's Pebble Beach. It's what's not to love as a golfer here. So I've loved this tournament. Obviously, finding success at this tournament has been really, really cool. Just as a golf lover and someone who enjoys the history of and the architecture of golf courses. So I'm happy that it's been good to me over the years, and come in this year with the courses playing a bit different. Spyglass, at least on the greens yesterday, I thought they were 1.5 feet plus faster than they normally are in tournament speed, and this was a Tuesday. And then Pebble was certainly firmer, and the tee boxes seem to be using a lot of the U.S. Open tee boxes, unless they're going to move stuff around. So it's a lot longer. You're hitting a lot longer shots into some of those small greens, making it certainly more challenging. So it's a little different this year, I think. I think you got to think your way around the golf course more, both of them. You can't miss in certain spots, and I think the course knowledge really serves you well. So I'm excited that it is potentially more of a challenge this year. I'm excited that the greens are faster than they normally are, and I'm sure some pins will be a bit different given, without the amateurs here, you're not really watching out for that, and instead can make them quite a bit more challenging. So I think it's a different year than, obviously it's a weird year not having the Pro-Am be a part of it, but I think it's going to be a unique experience in that we can see the course more similar to major championship conditions, even, in February.
Okay, well, and now that the dust has settled, so to speak, a little bit from last week, how much did last week, obviously the third round was the big highlight. How much does a week like that do for you?
Yeah, it was a nice confidence boost. I love that I trusted what I was working on all 4 rounds, knowing that wasn't necessarily going to fully be there. And I think that kind of trust and that belief just pays off. I mean, when you stick to something and you start working at it, it feels a little better each day that you do it when you're doing it correctly. But even more so, you just think kind of the golf gods will reward you and that's what happened on Saturday, the chip in and some long made putts at the end. But I think that was more just kind of just a reward for kind of the work that I've been putting in. And it was really nice to see a low round like that and to be able to continue to take it deeper and deeper as the day went on. So rounds like that are big big confidence boosters, because going low no matter where you are on the PGA Tour is very difficult to do. And then very disappointed off of Sunday. I know standing on the first tee that I don't necessarily have the control that I've had other weeks where I've been in that same position, but I knew it was close enough where I could get the job done, and I just didn't make anything. I just didn't adjust to the speed of the greens. I left a lot of putts short, not even off of, I had nerves to start, but I didn't really feel the nerves on the greens. I just didn't adjust to the speed like I did the day before, and that's really what it came down to. I think I had 35 putts because I one-putted the last 2 holes, and that's just very unusual for me, no matter the round or the situation. So do some extra work on speed control here, make sure I'm a little more dialed in, but these greens seem to fit me better over the years than the ones in Phoenix. So again, confidence boost, but a bit disappointed coming off Sunday.
Okay, understood. Well, we appreciate that. We'll open up and take a few questions now. We'll start with Steve DeMiglio with USA Today. Steve, go ahead.
Jordan, when you look back more to Saturday or to Sunday last week?
I think I look back at Monday through Sunday. I mean, there are some weeks where I look back at either one specific really solid round, or I look back at one that a lot of times when you look back when you're leading on Sunday and it doesn't work out, that's what lingers. But for me, it was where was I at when we started on Monday, and then where was I at when we finished on Sunday, and the progress that was made from the end of the Farmers until last Sunday wasn't just out of nowhere. I mean, it was legitimate, work and progress in the right direction. It wasn't, boy, I kind of got lucky here or there. I changed fields and it worked out like I would have said in the previous couple years. It was more, man, I really felt like we're on the same page. I'm getting into where I'm able to actually play golf instead of think about swings, and that's just really exciting. It gets me enjoying the game, loving the idea of going out there this week on number one. And if I shoot 65 or 75, as long as I'm trusting what I'm doing, I know I'm moving in the right direction. That's just the headspace that I've wanted to get into, and for a while now, and I feel like I'm starting to tap into it.
And Jordan, as you try to build on last week, how important is it? I don't know if important is the right word, but what is it like to come to this place as you try to build on last week?
It requires a lot of precision, obviously in approach shots with how small the greens are, but there's a lot of trouble down the right side of Pebble Beach. Pretty much the entire golf course is you can miss left and left is okay, and you can't miss right, and so it requires precision off the tee in that sense too, hitting those kind of Jack Nicklaus ball flights. Certainly he's loved this place with his fades. The year that I won, I know I had a left bias with the ball flight, and really right was almost, I couldn't miss it right, and that was very helpful when I came here. So, adjusting to getting out in front of the ball a little bit better, and it's different, in that it has those characteristics to the golf course where some other courses, it just depends on the hole, on which ball flight you play. It's almost I enjoy coming back here off of last week because I know the place. I feel like course knowledge goes a long way in this tournament as it starts to firm up, and if the greens get faster, and then if the conditions get bad too. If it becomes, a Palm Springs like day out here, that kind of levels out the field. But when the conditions get tough, you gotta understand a little bit more of the course knowledge, and it looks like we're going to have some of that this week.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, we're getting out of Ron Koychek with the San Francisco Chronicle. Ron?
Two unrelated questions. First, you mentioned sort of some nerves Sunday and being. I'm just curious, the emotions of it, the exhilaration. I mean, you were in that position so often a few years ago, and obviously it's been a while. What was that like, just emotionally, to put yourself in that spot again?
Yeah, it was. The biggest thing for me was embracing and feeling comfortable with those nerves, and that's how I remember it. And that's the goal, is to where I feel almost a level of comfort in the nerves, as odd as that is, almost just excitement and adrenaline versus the oh shoot, what if feel. And I was battling a bit of that, right? Because it had been a while, and I knew that I didn't and don't necessarily have yet my best control of the golf ball. But I knew that if I stuck to the game plan, I had enough results that week in just about every different shot that's needed to be hit in order to shoot a solid round and win the golf tournament. So that part was exciting. So it was a little bit of and every single tournament that I've had the lead in or been close on a Sunday, I've had nerves, and everybody does. It's just, to what extent and how quickly can you settle into the round, and how positively can you look at that as, this is where I'm supposed to be.
And my other question, any enduring memory of playing junior golf with Will Zalatoris, and how, I'm assuming you expected him to reach this point, and why? What about him and his game do you think has allowed him to transition as well as he has?
He's always been a phenomenal striker of the golf ball. I remember playing some junior golf tournaments that he was in, but I have clearer memories of, I think we both tied and had playoffs in high school a couple times when I was a junior, senior, and he was a freshman. So after playing some junior golf with him, then you're the senior and he's the freshman, and we're in a playoff, and it's almost like it's like, wow, all right, yeah, you're next level. You're going to carry this on, and then I know he's a very confident individual. We play quite a bit of golf in Dallas together, actually, throughout the weeks. We play a lot with, and he plays more than I do with him, but we play a lot with Tony Romo, and we, get other pros in the area and have some really good games. And so it's been nothing surprising over the last couple of years after watching him week in and week out at home. And the game was clearly good enough to carry on to any level of golf. So excited to see him doing so well. And I think this is just the start for him.
One quick follow-up. What was he like as a teenager, just personality-wise? Quiet, confident? Give me a sense of what it is.
Yeah, he was always a really confident player. I don't think quiet. I mean, I wouldn't have said anyone called me quiet either. So I've never been accused of being too quiet. So he was always a very confident and at sometimes in a good way, kind of cocky. When you're the older one, you kind of look at that as, all right, man. But when nowadays you look back, you're like, you need some of that. And you got to have it, and you got to continue to have it. And I felt like, he certainly had that, not in any kind of a bad way, but more in a I feel good about my chances on this shot,
Thanks, Jordan. Appreciate it.
Sure.
Hey, Ron, we need to be where you are. All right, we're moving on to Brian Wacker. Brian, go ahead.
Hey, Jordan. On Sunday, you had said that you believe in what you're doing, needles pointed the right direction. Just curious, when's the last time you felt like that? And probably a dumb question, but what are the specifics of what you're doing with your swing, and I guess why does it feel different?
Yeah, it's definitely been a few years, which is very weird because there wasn't a time period where I didn't believe in what I was working on prior to that from when I was 12. So it's which has been tough, right? Because you go out and put in all the hours, but if you're not necessarily, one, fully trusting what you're doing, and two, it's maybe not exactly what you need to be doing. You're putting in hours going the wrong way. So that's just extra time that it takes to, once you're going the right way, to be able to get things back to where you want. So getting over kind of scar tissue of certain holes and rounds that you've played at different places where you just didn't have it that day, versus being able to just draw back on positive memories for a number of years at places is something that is a new and different challenge over the last couple of years. But once you start to see light at the end of the tunnel, get a little bit of confidence, you just want to kind of stick with what you're doing and keep the train rolling and kind of reverse that trend. So for me, there was a number of things. There was a number of things that I got off on mechanically, and it was very frustrating because I felt, just as competitive and felt in just the same. I was still me, still the same me. I just would take the club back and feel lost. So, kind of making some significant adjustments starting really last fall through this winter to kind of get back to my DNA. Has been, a process that has taken a lot of hours and still will. And now I'm able to, try it out and trust it on the golf course and make the adjustments necessary, because you can only, on a driving range, it's real easy to almost overdo things the direction you're trying to go to. But on the golf course, it's what level of trust will I have out here. So fortunately, I'm on the PGA Tour, and I'm able to look back on swings that were made from good angles and trust that Cameron's like, okay, I saw what you're doing here, a little more of this, a little less of that, and we can move forward that direction.
Mechanically, what are those, or maybe just one of those things that you're referencing?
Well, there's quite a few things. I think most importantly, it's just getting the club into the hitting position to where I feel like I can kind of turn and burn, and I can get over to my left side and clear out, and feel like I don't have to use my hands as much, and don't get stuck. So there's quite a few things, but ultimately it's about feeling nice in front of it and feeling like you're kind of hitting the ball with your pivot versus having to kind of back up and use your hands. I mean, it's just too hard to be consistent out here doing that.
Great, thanks.
Okay, we've got time for two more. We'll go with Sean Martin and finish up with Alex Maselli. Sean, go ahead.
Just curious, leaving Scottsdale, with texts you were receiving, reaction of family, felt kind of like a victory?
No, actually on, I think it was like Friday afternoon, I was at 8 under. I was just in the top 10, maybe like 6th or 7th. And I was receiving texts that were like it was my first PGA Tour event ever. And as much as I enjoyed that support, I was also like, I'm not leading by 3. I didn't win the golf tournament. I know it's been a little while since I've been near the top, but come on, guys, I expect to be here, And then after Saturday's round, after a low round like that, it's that those texts, you'll get texts from friends or people that are like, oh, that was awesome, this or that, which that was just the round specifically. But no, I after Sunday, really after my putt missed on 16 and I hit a great putt and then just nothing went in that day, I knew that I essentially couldn't win. I maybe had to go eagle birdie. And so then it was, let's go ahead and just finish strong. So I was actually happy walking off the 18th green, but at walking off the 16th green, it was pretty deflating just being in the lead and having 2 holes to go and knowing that you essentially didn't have much of a chance to win the golf tournament. That was frustrating and it's driving. It makes me want to go out and work hard this week and try and get in the same position because I know that you put yourself in that position enough, you start hitting the pins and they go in, or the ball lips in on Sunday and it goes your way. So I didn't leave feeling like I won. I actually left. Fortunately, I felt disappointed that I didn't win.
And then curious, going back to that first tour event, the 2010 Nelson, what's your best rookie mistake story or story that illustrates a teenager playing his first tour event?
I don't think I knew much about through lines back then. That's one thing I remember. I remember, when you're going to mark your ball or you're going to go tap in, just being more aware of where the next person that's putting may, if they miss their putt, where that ball's going to go. It's not quite as big of a deal now that you can tap down spike marks, but I think that was the number one thing. In high school, college golf, I just never really, or that was just high school golf back then. You never really thought about that. You kind of just, everyone was trying to get you to play as fast as possible, so you just go finish out and go to the next hole. And that was something I had to learn.
Cool, thank you.
Yeah, all right, we'll take one more. We'll go with Alex Maselli. Alex?
Yeah, Jordan, going into last week on Monday or Tuesday, whenever you showed up to Phoenix, did you think what you were working on was good enough for you to be able to win the tournament?
It was really, we drove over on Saturday and I started working Sunday there, and no, to answer your question, no. I thought that once I played Friday's round, I thought yes, but it wasn't until then. It's not like I'm probably as optimistic in myself at being able to get the job done with less than my best. I would say as much as anybody. But I'm also realistic enough to know, hey, this still feels quite a ways away. I'm not sure if I'm trusting this shot or this shot yet, and so I got to play away from spots versus being able to just go out and play with freedom. And it was after Friday's round where I kind of walked off that day saying, man, I shot 4 under, but I should have shot 6 or 7. I'm doing the same thing I've been doing. It's just starting to feel better and better now. Let's go have some fun on the weekend. It's just funny how when that kind of, just a little bit of that feel comes back, what ends up coming from it. And I was rewarded the next day for it, for sure.
And the other thing is, obviously, you've been frustrated over this period of time and things haven't gone well. How frustrating is it for people to keep coming to you and asking you, or maybe even shutting away and not wanting to ask you things or not wanting to talk to you over this period of time? How difficult is that, considering you've had such success as a professional?
Yeah, I think for the first little bit of time, it was, I think that, even friends on tour are probably like, all right, just struggling for a year or something. And then people are reaching out saying, I see this, or I'm at, it's kind of a tough thing, because even some of my best friends out here on tour I play a lot of practice rounds with, they want to help, but you don't want to overstep, right? So it's kind of a tricky situation, but anyone that I would reach out to, I was probably too stubborn and waited too long to probably reach out to people that I definitely could have for just help in whether it's certain areas of the game or just getting through kind of areas of, down years or something like that. I probably was just a bit too stubborn on that when there are a lot of people willing to help that are super friendly that have gone through, I guess somewhat relatable situations out here. So with a bit of friends kind of stepping in and offering help to myself doing some more reaching out and just kind of letting my guard down a little, kind of letting the walls down. And I think that kind of combination kind of helped free me up a little bit to, hey, for me, it's when I've been struggling, it's very public, right? I mean, it's very aware. If I had just kind of been 120th on the FedEx Cup every year, it'd have been pretty easy to have a couple off years. But instead, it just gets heightened, and so it's about just kind of just being myself, not caring about how heightened it is, but instead allowing the belief in the system, belief in my age, saying, you could start at 27 and have an unbelievable career. So let's just take our time, make sure we're getting on the right path. It just took a little longer than I would have liked, and I feel like I'm on the right path. That doesn't mean that I'm going to have massive success immediately. I saw a little bit of success last week. But for me, it's about the feels more than it is the results. And I know when it starts to feel a certain way that the results follow, and that's what I'm trying to tap into.
Okay, thank you very much.
Sure.
All right, Jordan, we're going to cut you loose. We certainly appreciate the time and insight as always, and we wish you a wonderful week this week. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. See ya.